The Chicago Bears have started the season 0-2, and let's be honest, nothing about this team looks ready to compete at a high level right now. After all the offseason hype, the roster upgrades, and a supposed offensive mastermind in Ben Johnson at the helm, Bears fans are already seeing familiar patterns of disappointment. And when a team is trending in the wrong direction this early, you can't just wait around and hope things magically turn. It's time for real, tangible changes, not just lip service and press conferences. Let's start in the backfield. Before Week 2, Ben Johnson said the Bears needed to run the ball more. He mentioned getting Kyle Monangai more involved. And sure, if you look at the box score, you'll see that Monangai had 7 carries. But if you actually watch the game, you'd know 6 of those came in garbage time. When the game still mattered, the rookie had 1 carry. 1. That's not getting him involved. That's checking a box and moving on. It's clear that something is broken with the Bears' rushing attack. The raw numbers might trick you. DeAndre Swift had over 60 yards last game, but dig a little deeper and it's a whole different story. Let me hit you with a wild stat. The Bears are actually number 1 in the league in average yards before contact at 1.89. That means the offensive line is doing its job. They're opening up holes. They're giving the running back a free path nearly 2 yards past the line of scrimmage before anyone lays a hand on him. That should mean efficient runs, chunk plays, sustained drives. Instead, Chicago ranks 31st in expected points added per rush and dead last in rushing success rate. Dead last. So what does that tell us? It tells us DeAndre Swift is leaving way too much on the field. That was a knock on him last year, too. Flashy runs, yes, but too many wasted downs, too many blown opportunities on the routine plays that move the chains and wear down defenses. It doesn't end there. If you watch the tape, Swift's pass protection is a massive liability. He's never been known as a great blocker, but what we've seen so far this season is beyond just poor. It's downright unplayable in key situations. In Week 2, Detroit clearly made it part of their game plan to target Swift in pass protection, and it worked. He's drifting, he's late, the technique is awful. It's just not sustainable. So you have a running back who's not maximizing run blocking, who's putting your franchise quarterback at risk in pass protection, and who isn't offering anything extraordinary in the passing game either. Why is he still getting the lion's share of touches? That's why Monangai and Roscoe Johnson deserve a shot. No one's saying they're going to come in and turn into pro bowlers overnight, but this is about trying something different. Something that might spark life into a run game that's barely alive. There's no excuse to keep force-feeding Swift the ball when there are other guys on the roster who might simply be better for this system, or at least offer more consistency. Monangai runs hard. He's decisive. And if you're trying to protect a young quarterback, the run game needs to be a strength, not a liability. The Bears need to stop waiting and start experimenting. Give Monangai 10 to 12 carries. See what happens. It can't get worse than what we've seen so far. Now, let's move to the offensive line, specifically the left tackle position. I've been going back and forth on this one, but at this point, it's pretty clear it's time to sit Braxton Jones. Look, the guy has always struggled against top-tier edge rushers. That's not new. What's new is that even his baseline level of play has dipped. In the opener, and especially in Week 2, Jones looked overwhelmed. The strength, the footwork, the anchor, none of it is holding up. He gave up 2 sacks and 13 total pressures across just 2 games. And when your coaching staff preaches all offseason about wanting tackles who can win one-on-one on an island, that's not going to cut it. You can't say that in July and then watch your starting left tackle fold play after play in September without doing something about it. That brings us to Theo Benedict. Is he the long-term solution? Who knows? But you have to at least give him a shot. He showed flashes in the preseason. He held his own in training camp. And when he got a handful of snaps against Detroit late in the game, he looked solid. Small sample size, sure, but what else are you waiting for? Benedict might not be a star. He might not even be an above-average tackle yet. But right now, Jones is not the answer. He's regressed, and you can't let one guy sabotage your offensive rhythm week after week. There's a reason teams rotate linemen until they find the right chemistry. It's not about loyalty or draft status. It's about execution. And right now, Braxton Jones isn't getting it done. On the other side, Darnell Wright has been solid. Not perfect, but solid. He's showing improvement in run blocking, and he's mostly holding his own in pass protection. So at least one side of the line has some stability. But you can't run a modern NFL offense with one tackle getting obliterated and expect your quarterback to thrive. Caleb Williams needs time, he needs protection, and he needs to not be running for his life every other play. Getting Benedict into the starting lineup could be the first step toward giving Caleb the kind of clean pockets he needs to succeed. Speaking of Caleb, he's been good, better than some people think. But we'll get to that later. For now, let's talk defense. And man, where do we even begin? This unit is getting shredded. They're not just giving up points, they're getting embarrassed. Jared Goff just won NFC Offensive Player of the Week after torching the Bears, and he wasn't even the first quarterback to do it. The Bears have now allowed back-to-back NFC quarterbacks to win that award. That's not just bad, that's historically bad. So what's the plan on defense? Bend but don't break? That's the strategy? Well, the problem is it's breaking. The coverage is a mess. The communication is sloppy. Backup corners are getting exposed, and the safety play isn't making up for it. So why are the Bears still sitting back and rushing for every single snap like they've got the 85 Bears front four out there? You're not getting pressure. You're not covering. So what are you doing? Through 2 weeks, Chicago is blitzing on just 7.5% of plays. That's not just low, that's dead last in the league. Bottom of the barrel. Even Matt Eberflus, who is ultra-conservative, blitzed more often than that. Dennis Allen came in with a reputation for being more creative and aggressive with his coverage looks. But where is the aggression? Where's the creativity? If you don't trust your front four to generate pressure and your secondary is leaking like a sieve, why not bring heat? What are you saving it for? The bend don't break mindset doesn't work when teams are putting up 50 points on you. And right now, opposing offenses are doing whatever they want. That's not just about talent. It's about coaching, too. If you're not getting home with 4, you better start dialing up pressure with 5 or 6. Take some risks. Create chaos. Force a turnover. Do something. Because at this point, sticking to the status quo is like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. We'll get into some of the young guys that need more playing time in a minute, but here's the bottom line. If the Bears want to stop this season from spiraling out of control, they can't wait until the bye week. They can't keep saying, we'll evaluate later, or we want more tape. The tape is out. It's not good. The time to make changes is now. And it starts with putting the right players in the right positions, even if they're rookies, even if they're unproven, because the proven veterans aren't exactly lighting it up right now either. All right, let's dive into the next wave of adjustments that this team desperately needs, because if Chicago doesn't start shaking things up soon, this season could spiral out of control before October even hits. We already talked about the offensive backfield, the tackle situation, and the complete lack of defensive pressure, but there's even more under the surface that screams for immediate change. One of the most glaring issues is how little the Bears are using their top draft picks. This front office spent premium capital on players like Carlson Loveland and Luther Burden, yet through 2 games, they've been practically invisible. Loveland has 2 catches for 12 yards. Burden has 2 grabs for 22. That's it. For 2 players taken in the top 40 of the draft, that's borderline criminal usage. When you take a tight end with the 10th overall pick, the expectation is clear. He's going to be a focal point in your passing attack. And if he isn't, then what was the point of the pick? If you wanted a blocking tight end, you could have signed a veteran off the street. If you wanted someone to chip edge rushers all day, you could have drafted in the trenches. But when you draft a guy that high at that position, you'd better get him involved. Loveland showed during preseason that he's capable of making plays in space. He's athletic, he's reliable with his hands, and he could be a mismatch weapon. But when the real games kicked off, the offense suddenly acted like he was an afterthought. That has to change. A rookie quarterback's best friend is often a dependable tight end, and right now, Caleb Williams doesn't have that outlet because the Bears aren't scheming it. If Caleb had more opportunities to hit Loveland on quick throws, short crossers, or seam routes, the whole passing game could settle down. It doesn't mean you ignore your receivers, but it gives Caleb the safety valve he desperately needs when the pocket collapses. Then there's Luther Burden. Yes, he's technically the 4th receiver on the depth chart, but the lack of creativity in getting him snaps is a real problem. You don't need to overhaul the whole playbook to use him. Get him touches on jet sweeps. scheme up a few quick screens. Let him return punts or kicks. The guy is explosive, and explosive players need the ball. Instead, we're watching Olamide Zakos eat up reps without providing much beyond the occasional catch. He's a fine player, but Burden brings a gear that Chicago just doesn't have enough of right now. Ben Johnson has already hinted that he wants to get Burden more involved, but talk is cheap. We need to see action. If Burden's ready enough to line up on special teams, he's ready enough to take meaningful snaps in the offense. And if he makes mistakes, so be it. The upside is worth the growing pains. It's not just about offense either. On the defensive line, the rotation is puzzling. Shamar Turner is on the roster, but he's been inactive on game days. Why? Because the coaches believe Chris Williams deserves those snaps? With all due respect, what exactly has Williams done to lock down his spot? Chicago spent a second-round pick on Turner, and even though he missed training camp with a high ankle sprain, there comes a point where you just have to see what the kid can do. The defensive line is a rotation-heavy position anyway. You don't need Turner to be a three-down monster immediately. But if you can get him 10 to 15 snaps a game, let him put his hand in the dirt and push some people around, maybe you stumble into a spark. Right now, that front lacks juice, and it's not like the veterans are producing enough to justify keeping the rookies sidelined. This is the larger theme here. The Bears need to stop playing scared with their rookies. You drafted these guys for a reason. You believed in their talent, their work ethic, their upside. So why are they collecting dust while the veterans flounder? It's one thing if the team is humming along and winning games. You can afford to bring rookies along slowly then. But when you're winless, when your offense looks disjointed and your defense is getting torched, patience turns into stubbornness. And stubbornness loses seasons. If the Bears want to build something sustainable around Caleb Williams, they need to let these young players grow alongside him. And speaking of Caleb, the kid deserves some credit. He hasn't been flawless, but considering the circumstances, he's holding up well. The offensive line has been leaky, the run game is inconsistent, and the play calling hasn't exactly been a masterclass. Yet Caleb has shown flashes of the special talent that made him the #1 pick. He's already demonstrated poise under pressure, the ability to extend plays, and accuracy on the move. What he hasn't had is stability. No quarterback, no matter how talented, can thrive when he's constantly being pressured, when the run game is giving him second and long every series, and when his supposed weapons aren't being unleashed. That's why making these adjustments is so important. It's not just about trying to salvage this season. It's about protecting and developing your most valuable asset. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are rippling through the Chicago Bears locker room after what sources are calling a heated confrontation between Daniel Hardy and Tyson Bagent. According to insiders, the two players reportedly engaged in a verbal altercation that escalated to the point where team management felt compelled to separate them from the squad, at least temporarily. While details remain scarce, the incident has sparked speculation about locker room tensions and the potential impact on the Bears' season. Hardy, known for his fiery temperament on and off the field, has long been considered a passionate but sometimes polarizing figure within the team. Bagent, by contrast, has earned a reputation for his work ethic and leadership, making the clash all the more surprising to teammates and observers. The dispute reportedly unfolded during a late practice session, with several players confirming that voices were raised and tempers flared. Some sources suggest that the disagreement may have been rooted in differences over team strategy, personal grievances, or even frustrations carried over from recent performances. The Bears organization has so far remained tight-lipped, refusing to provide official statements beyond confirming that both Hardy and Bagent have been temporarily removed from team activities. Analysts and fans alike are now left to speculate. Will this incident lead to long-term repercussions for either player? Could it affect team chemistry, especially in the middle of a high-stakes season? Social media has already erupted with debates, with supporters of both athletes weighing in on who might be at fault, or whether the team itself is struggling to maintain discipline behind the scenes. Veteran voices in the league warn that locker room disputes, if mishandled, can snowball quickly, affecting not just on-field performance, but also public perception. For the Bears, a franchise always under intense scrutiny, even a rumor like this can become a story that refuses to die. As the team navigates the fallout, questions abound about whether Hardy and BAGENT can reconcile, whether management will impose further sanctions, and how the dynamic between players will evolve in coming weeks. Meanwhile, fans are watching closely, hoping that this drama doesn't overshadow the team's aspirations for the season. One thing is certain: the Bears' locker room is suddenly the hottest spot for headlines, and the saga of Hardy and BAGENT is far from over. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.